The person sitting in the corner saying nothing, they know more about you than your best friend does. The overthinker who can't choose a restaurant, they're the only ones who'll survive when everything falls apart. The people pleaser everyone walks over, they're holding together the entire structure of relationships that keep your world from collapsing. Every thinking pattern you've been told is a weakness is actually a specialized survival tool, a cognitive advantage that only works because most people don't recognize what it's doing. Your mind isn't broken. The way you process information, make decisions, and interact with the world isn't random. It's a defense system. A solution to problems you faced so early in life you don't remember developing it. And that solution has been protecting you, giving you advantages, keeping you alive in situations where other thinking types would fail. For the next 10 minutes, we're decoding 6 major thinking types, not to put you in a box, but to show you the hidden superpowers you've been apologizing for your entire life. Because of the flaw you've been hiding, that's your advantage in disguise. Let's find out which one is yours. Quick context. These aren't clinical diagnoses. They're cognitive patterns observed across psychology, behavioral research, and decision-making studies. Most people are a mix of 2 or 3 types, and that's normal. What matters isn't which type you are, it's understanding how your thinking pattern gives you advantages others don't have, and what blind spots come with it. Because every cognitive style evolved to solve a specific problem. Your ancestors survived something that required exactly the way you think. And that survival code is still running in your brain. You're not trying to think like someone else. Their advantages won't work for your problems. Their solutions won't fit your situations. You're here to understand your own operating system. So let's start with the most misunderstood type of all, logical thinkers. If you're a logical thinker, emotions don't drive your decisions. Facts do. Evidence, reason, systematic analysis. People call you cold for it. Robotic, unfeeling. Here's what they're missing. You're not cold, you're immune. While everyone else is being manipulated through guilt trips, emotional appeals, and manufactured urgency, you're asking one question. Does this actually make sense? That immunity is a weapon. You cannot be emotionally blackmailed. You can't be pressured into bad decisions because someone cried, or someone yelled, or someone made you feel guilty. When a crisis hits and everyone's panicking, you go cold, clear, analytical. You see the problem. You see the options. You choose what works, not what feels good. Logical thinkers build long-term power because they think in systems, not feelings. You don't chase emotional highs. You play the long game. And the long game always wins. But people think you don't feel anything. They think you're heartless. And in relationships that require vulnerability, you struggle because vulnerability feels like handing someone a loaded weapon. You miss emotional cues that everyone else picks up automatically. Someone's hurt and needs support. And you offer solutions instead of empathy. They wanted to be heard. You gave them a 3-point action plan. Simple situations that need emotional responses, you overcomplicate them. I love you doesn't need a risk assessment. But your brain runs one anyway. If people call you cold, it's not because you don't feel. It's because they can't control you with feelings. And in a world built on emotional manipulation, immunity looks like a threat. This week, when someone shares a problem, don't solve it. Just say, "That sounds really hard. I'm here if you need me." Watch what happens. You don't have to stop being logical. You just have to let people know you're listening before you start fixing. Emotional thinkers. Now let's talk about the exact opposite. If you're an emotional thinker, you make decisions based on how things feel. You're relationship focused. You absorb energy from rooms. You've been told your whole life you're too sensitive. And that's where everyone gets it wrong. You're not too sensitive, you're fluent. Logical thinkers see the map. You feel the territory. You don't just hear what someone says, you feel what they mean. You read rooms. You sense tension before it becomes a conflict. You detect the pain that people are trying to hide. That creates trust and loyalty that cannot be faked. People follow you not because you're the smartest or strongest, but because you make them feel seen, understood, valued. Logical thinkers build systems. You build relationships. And relationships outlast systems every single time. You're the person people call at 3 a.m. when their world is falling apart. Not because you have answers, but because you have presence. Emotional thinkers are the glue that holds communities, families, and teams together. You feel fractures before they break, and you repair them before anyone else even notices. But that sensitivity is weaponized against you. You're easily manipulated through your own empathy. Someone cries, and you give in. Someone guilt trips you, and you comply. Your feelings override your logic even when logic is screaming at you to walk away. You make impulsive decisions when emotional. Angry purchases. Relationship commitments made in passion that you regret when the feeling fades. You take things personally that aren't. A neutral comment feels like an attack. A small slight becomes a deep wound. And you burn out from caring too much. You absorb everyone's pain. You carry everyone's problems, and eventually you have nothing left for yourself. Logical thinkers can't be emotionally manipulated, but they also can't build deep emotional bonds. You can't block emotions, but you can create connections that last lifetimes. Neither is better. They're tools for different jobs. Next time you feel overwhelmed by someone else's emotions, ask yourself, is this mine to carry? Not every problem is yours to solve. Not every pain is yours to absorb. Boundaries aren't walls, they're filters. Overthinkers. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah took 45 minutes to choose a restaurant for a first date. Not because she's indecisive, because she was running simulations. What if he's a vegetarian and this place has no options? What if it's too loud and they can't talk? What if it's too quiet and silence feels awkward? What if the menu is too expensive and he feels pressured? What if it's too cheap and he thinks she doesn't value the date? Her friends told her to just pick somewhere. They didn't understand she was doing a threat assessment. And when they finally went to dinner, the restaurant she chose had a quiet corner table, diverse menu options, moderate pricing, and parking nearby. The date went perfectly. Not by accident, by simulation. That's what overthinkers do. While everyone else charges forward blindly, you're running scenarios. What if this goes wrong? What if that person betrays me? What if the plan fails? You notice patterns others miss. The small inconsistency in someone's story. The detail that doesn't add up. The warning sign everyone else ignored. In a crisis, you're the lifesaver. Because you've already thought through 17 versions of this scenario. You know the exits. You know the backups. You've mentally rehearsed for disasters that haven't happened yet. Overthinkers catch problems in early stages before they spiral. You're the person who says, I had a bad feeling about this, right before everything falls apart. And you're usually right. But overthinking is exhausting. You're paralyzed by analysis. You can't make simple decisions because you're weighing every possible outcome. You have anxiety about things that never happen. You've lived through 1,000 disasters in your mind that never touched your real life. You miss present moments because you're 3 steps ahead. Someone's talking to you, but you're planning your response, anticipating their reaction, running the conversation tree, and you spiral. One worry triggers another until you're convinced everything's falling apart when nothing has actually gone wrong. Your overthinking isn't broken. It's your brain running disaster simulations so you survive what others won't see coming. You're not anxious. You're prepared. And preparation looks like paranoia until the disaster actually hits. Then it looks like genius. Use the 2-minute rule. If a decision takes less than 2 minutes to reverse, make it immediately. Restaurant choice, reversible. You can leave and go somewhere else. Most daily decisions are low stakes. Save your simulation power for decisions that actually matter. Pause for a second. I want to know which type you are so far. Drop a comment right now. Are you the logical thinker who can't be emotionally manipulated? The emotional thinker who feels everything and builds unbreakable bonds? Or the overthinker who's already predicted 17 ways this video could end? Just drop your type. One word. I'm genuinely curious what the distribution looks like among people watching this. And if you're a mix of 2 types, drop both. Most people are. Real-time data. Comment section. Let's go. Silent observers. What's the most dangerous person in any room? The one who isn't talking. Why? Because while everyone else is performing, trying to be heard, trying to be seen, the silent person is collecting. Collecting what? Everything. If you're a silent observer, you already know this. You hear what people don't mean to reveal. When everyone's talking over each other, competing for attention, you're listening. And in the gaps between their words, they tell you everything. You notice the look 2 people exchange when they think no one's watching. The micro-expression that contradicts what someone just said. The body language that reveals the truth their mouth is hiding. People confess to you without realizing it. Because you're not asking. You're not prying. You're just there. Safe. Quiet. And in that perceived safety, they drop their guard. Why is this an advantage? Because you're the perfect strategist. You know everyone's hand. You've been watching. You know who's lying, who's loyal, who's playing games. You have information that others don't even know exists. And because you're underestimated, you have a hidden advantage. People assume silence equals weakness or disinterest. They perform in front of you like you're invisible, like you're furniture. And you collect it all. What's the cost? Loneliness. People think you're aloof, disinterested. Judging them, they don't invite you in because they assume you don't want to be invited. Your silence gets misinterpreted as agreement even when you disagree. As a weakness, even when you're strategizing. As emptiness, when you're full of observations no one asked to hear. You struggle to build immediate rapport. While others are bonding through conversation, you're on the outside, watching, waiting, never quite joining. Is there a fix? You don't need to become a talker. You need to give people one sentence that lets them know you're engaged. I'm listening, Keep going. That's interesting. Tell me more. I'm taking that in. You don't need to fill the silence. You just need to signal you're present. That's it. Your silence isn't emptiness. Its fullness is contained. You're not disengaged. You're downloading while everyone else is broadcasting. And when you finally speak, people listen. Because you don't waste words on noise. People pleasers. Let me tell you about Marcus. Marcus said yes to everything. Extra shifts at work, helping friends move, planning events he didn't want to attend, lending money he couldn't afford to lose. Everyone loved Marcus. He was reliable, helpful, always there. And Marcus was dying inside. He had no time for himself, no energy for his own goals. He resented every person he was helping, but he couldn't stop, because if he said no, they might not like him anymore. One day, his best friend asked him to cancel a long-planned vacation to help with a project. And Marcus almost said yes. Then he stopped. And he said, "I can't, but I can help you find someone who can." His friend said okay, didn't get mad, didn't reject him, just moved on. And Marcus realized something that changed his life. Boundaries don't destroy relationships. They filter out the people who were only there to take. If you're a people pleaser, you are a conflict resolution expert. You can feel tension the moment it enters a room. And you know exactly how to diffuse it before it explodes. You hold teams and relationships together. When everyone's fighting, you're the bridge. When everyone's hurt, you're the mediator. You create harmony that others can't. You make people feel valued, seen, and heard. That skill builds loyalty that lasts decades. You're the person people never forget because you made them feel important when no one else did. But you're exploited by takers. They see your kindness and mistake it for weakness. They take, and you give and give, until there's nothing left. You burn out from constant giving. You're everyone's therapist, everyone's solution, everyone's support, and you have no one to support you. You lose your sense of self. You've spent so long becoming what others need that you don't know what you want, and resentment builds silently. You smile while helping, but inside you're screaming. Marcus learned that people-pleasing isn't the same as kindness. Kindness is generous. People-pleasing is self-abandonment. Kindness has boundaries. People-pleasing has none. When Marcus started saying no to things that drained him, he had energy to say yes to things that mattered. His real friends stayed. The takers left. And for the first time, he wasn't exhausted. This week, say no to one request that you'd normally say yes to out of obligation. Just one. Watch what happens. Most people will respect it. The ones who don't? They were never there for you. They were there for what you gave them. You don't need to stop caring. You need to care about yourself with the same intensity you care about everyone else. Avoidant personalities. If you're avoidant, you run from conflict. You hide emotions. Distance feels like safety. Vulnerability feels like danger. People call you emotionally unavailable. Cold, distant. But here's what they don't understand. You're not running from connection. You're running from pain you've already survived once. Your avoidance isn't cowardice. It's a nervous system that learned the hard way. Some pain isn't worth the lesson. Avoidant people are experts at protecting their emotional well-being. You don't waste energy on toxic situations. You don't stay in relationships that hurt you. You walk away when others stay and bleed. You have strong survival instincts. You know when something's wrong before it becomes obvious. And you leave before the damage gets worse. You don't get trapped in drama. While others are drowning in conflict, you're already gone, unbothered, safe. That's not a weakness. That's knowing your limits and respecting them. But avoidance costs you growth. You miss opportunities that require confrontation. The job that needs a difficult conversation. The relationship that needs honesty. You run instead of fighting for what you want. People feel shut out. They can't reach you. And eventually they stop trying. You run from problems that need to be faced. Some conflicts don't go away because you avoid them. They follow you. And running just delays the inevitable. And you're lonely. Because connection requires vulnerability. And vulnerability is the one thing you can't do. Here's the truth avoidant people need to hear. You survived the thing that taught you to run. You're not in that situation anymore. The people you're avoiding now aren't the people who hurt you then. Vulnerability isn't weakness. It's data collection. You share something small. You see how they respond. If they use it against you, you leave. If they honor it, you share more. It's not all or nothing. It's incremental trust. Share one small thing with one safe person this week. Not your deepest trauma. Just something true. I've been stressed lately. I'm worried about this project. I feel disconnected. See how they respond. That's data. And data tells you who's safe and who isn't. You don't have to run, but you also don't have to stay in danger. You're choosing safety through information now, not through isolation. Here's what nobody tells you about your thinking type. The pattern you've been apologizing for your entire life is probably your greatest advantage. Logical thinkers make decisions that save everyone, when emotions would destroy them. Emotional thinkers build loyalty that outlasts systems. Overthinkers see disasters coming that blindside everyone else. Silent observers win wars nobody knew were happening. People pleasers hold civilizations together. Avoidant people protect themselves from damage that would break others. Every type evolved because it solved a problem. Your problem was different than theirs, so your solution was different too. Stop trying to think like someone else. Their advantages won't work in your situation. Your thinking type isn't broken, it's specialized, and specialization is power. The weakness you've been hiding, that's your advantage in disguise. Use it, own it. Stop apologizing for the way your mind kept you alive. So which type are you? Drop it in the comments, and tell me what's one advantage of your thinking type that people constantly mistake for a weakness. If this changed how you see yourself, subscribe, because your mind isn't broken. It's protecting you from things you survived so long ago that you don't even remember them anymore. Thanks for watching. And remember, your thinking type isn't a flaw. It's a feature you've been running since childhood without even realizing it was saving your life.